certainly that is weighing on all of our minds right now.
And something that struck me, Matt, when I was talking to our reporter Kyung La in Tokyo was the time, the delay between the earthquake hitting and the final decision to evacuate people from an underground area, from the subways there, which I found striking. Anywhere else, there wouldn't necessarily be that delay and you would move very quickly. Is that because people are so used to earthquakes hitting that it takes them a little while to assess whether this is a deadly one and they need to move quickly?
I think absolutely that Japanese people are more attuned to earthquakes. They're more used to it certainly than I was, where I grew up on the east coast of the United States, where we don't have much in the way of earthquakes. And they tend to take it in stride a little bit more. But this was larger than anyone expected. It went on for longer than anyone expected. And I think there's also a high degree of self-sufficiency among people here, especially with regards to earthquakes. Just as my wife showed, where she was cool-headed and had all of these techniques for dealing with an earthquake hitting, I'm sure that even long before an official announcement to evacuate, people who felt these sort of tremors would absolutely have some sense of what to do and begin to leave the areas. The real danger right now, I believe, is the tsunamis that are hitting. I'm looking at footage right now of Sendai Airport up north, which has been completely inundated. It's completely underwater right now. All of the runways and the buildings are filling with water from what I can see on TV. So this is a major, major, major hit to Japan's infrastructure. I haven't heard anything about what's going on with the subways or anything downtown. I know that they are prone in some cases to being filled with water in the event of a tsunami hitting, but I haven't heard any reports of that. But certainly up north, and all of the coastal areas are taking a major, major hit right now.
And Matt, of course, we know, as we've discussed, that the Japanese are very used to these earthquakes. The cities are built to withstand major earthquakes. But what sort of measures are in place to deal with tsunamis on the ground there?
Well, there's actually quite a few. Most places that are tsunami prone, most of the cities have large walls that are built around them. The townships, even small places, have large floodgates and things like that. Tokyo has an extremely elaborate system of floodgates that are used to divert tsunami waters. So I think there's actually a high chance that there's going to be less casualties than there might otherwise be in places that don't have these sorts of measures in place. But Japan has known about the threat of tsunamis for a very, very long time. And there's almost no case that I can think of where a coastal city is not behind some kind of wall or built atop some kind of abutment to bring it far higher than the level of sea level. But that's what's precisely so frightening about these photos, because the waters look to be overwhelming a lot of these measures that have been put in place. And I don't think this is any kind of statement about ill-preparedness. I think it's just a testament to how powerful this earthquake was and how powerful the tsunami is. That is, it's currently hitting Japan even as we speak on the phone right now.
Indeed. I mean, this is unfolding before our very eyes, and as we talk the audience through this, and of course we're looking at these pictures now from the airport where people have gone to the highest ground they can possibly find, and of course water surrounds them at the base there, and as you mentioned, presumably that area where the water is sweeping under is a measure in place to ensure that when these tsunamis hit, the water can actually clear the area. But of course the problem is for anyone who unfortunately was on the ground at the time. Of course, Matt, we talk about how, hopefully casualties will be low. We keep comparing this to the quake back in 2004 that particularly affected Indonesia, the one in the Indian Ocean. Of course, the difference here, as you point out, the structures. We're just going to pause. And Matt, I want you to stay there if you wouldn't mind. We're going to pause just for a moment to listen in to NHK coverage.
Chiba Prefecture lies right north of Tokyo. You can see an inferno fire breaking out, and large fire breaking out on the oil refinery, Chiba Prefecture. Black smoke seen billowing from the refinery. And it looks like firefighters are having an almost impossible situation to be able to control that at this time. A large fire breaking out of an oil refinery in Chiba Prefecture. And that fire does not look like it's going to be going out anytime soon. Obviously, we are reporting this as we see things and as information starts coming into our newsroom. Things fluid, developing as we speak. Several fires have broken out in Tokyo as well. The fire department says fires have been reported in several places, including Ariake in central Tokyo. That is the area where has been reclaimed land along the coastal areas. Right now you're seeing fire breaking out at an oil refinery in Chiba Prefecture in Ichihara area. Chiba, northeast of Tokyo. Our helicopters also at Miyagi Prefecture covering live Sendai area where obviously a large tsunami has hit an area engulfing big parts of the city. The tsunami had moved upstream quickly. It's engulfed the area. You're seeing live footage from our helicopters up in Miyagi Prefecture in the Sendai area where a large tsunami has engulfed farmland, homes, cars. But we do not know the number of casualties at this time. A major earthquake hit Japan on Friday afternoon about an hour and 40 minutes ago. The magnitude was 8.4, one of the largest earthquakes ever to happen in Japan. The agency has issued a tsunami warning for Japan's Pacific coast. That tsunami obviously engulfing Miyagi Prefecture, the Sendai area, a large amount of that area. In northeastern Japan's Iwate Prefecture, tsunami waves are also recorded. We're going back to live pictures of downtown Tokyo in the Shibuya district. Looks like cars are moving along right outside of our NHK studios. We are seeing live footage of Tokyo. We're seeing more cars outside, and it looks like there could be a bit of a traffic jam we're seeing in downtown Shibuya area at this time. It looks like we're seeing a little bit more cars than usual during this time. The powerful earthquake has stopped the Shinkansen bullet train across the country and trains around the Tokyo area. East Japan Railway Company says that all Tohoku, Joetsu, and Nagano Shinkansen lines, that's all the northern lines, have been stopped. On the major Tokaido line, also all trains between Tokyo and Shin Osaka, that's to the southwest. All trains from Tokyo and Shin Osaka were stopped for security checks. Central Japan Railway Company later said part of the Tokaido line resumed operation. Now the Tokyo Metro system.
Just listening there to NHK TV coverage there in Japan, pointing out that inferno from an oil refinery that was northeast of Tokyo, and several fires being reported in Tokyo itself. I'm getting a number of tweets from people who were there in Japan. This from Kevin B. He says, "Hey Rosemary, in Japan on teaching exchange, didn't expect this. Watching your updates, aftershock not as bad as I thought." So he is clearly in an area fairly safe, away from all of this. Of course, anyone who is there at ground level, anyone near the coast needs to get to higher ground. Got Kyung La, our reporter, who's there at the bureau in Tokyo, there with us. Kyung La, an incredible day for you. Of course, it started with you shooting a story down at the train station, and this unfolded. Take us through that, if you would.
Well, I've had to get a kind of recap of exactly what happened, because we did lose a little bit of time, track of time, that is, as to what happened. Around 2:40, we were at Tokyo Station. It is one of Japan's busiest train stations. In Tokyo, it's where you see many, many people boarding and getting off of trains. Right around 2:40, we felt the very first earthquake hit. It went on for several minutes. All of the signs around us were shaking back and forth. The lights were flickering. People were grabbing each other. Children were crying. There was definitely a sense that in a country that is used to earthquakes, this was very different, and this was something that was going to last for a while. So after several minutes of trying to stay steady, to try to figure out what happened, there was an announcement asking people to stay underground, to stay calm, that there was a earthquake. And then the information started. We learned that the earthquake was offshore and that the tsunami was coming to the northeastern part of Japan. As we're getting a little more information about exactly what it was, we're learning it's a very large quake, 8.8 according to USGS. And we were last on the phone. I was on the phone with you, Rosemary, as we were talking, and I was trying to tell you about what was happening to the passengers. After people were told to stay put, eventually all the rail lines were stopped. People were let out of the underground, and we started to move up above ground. That's when we lost our cell signal. Cell signals are getting incredibly tough to get here in Tokyo. Phone lines are also very difficult. We have one phone line out of this bureau to try to reach people. It's very difficult to try to communicate. As I got from Tokyo Station to here, with no rail lines, with bus lines interrupted, it is extraordinarily difficult to get across Tokyo. You either have to walk, or if you get lucky, I got into a cab as somebody was getting out. I got into a cab and came across. Every single sidewalk was packed with people. It is about 3:30 when I was heading back toward the bureau. Everybody was pouring out of office buildings. Work is canceled for the day. Children are leaving schools. People are on the sidewalk trying to figure out how they're going to get home. People have to commute an hour sometimes back home, but they don't have any way to get there. So all the taxis are taken. It's an unusual sight to see the city of Tokyo, one of the most populous in the entire world, completely come to a halt. From what I can see, every single train line has been stopped. We're not hearing any planes in the air. We're not hearing any choppers in the air. It's all very, very unusual. And when I got here, elevator, of course, is out, and people are just walking up and down out of high-rises trying to figure out how they're going to get home now.
Indeed, and of course, as you spoke to us, of course, we do need to mention that it is now upgraded to an 8.9 magnitude quake. We can see there, actually, a person there calling for help, basically, with the white flag, helicopter that's giving aerial coverage. Just for a moment, I just wonder, because I am being flooded I'm being flooded with tweets here. Kyung-la, I just for a moment want to read a couple, because this from Paramveer Bangu in Japan says, I'm seeing you on CNN. I would like to say my grandfather has been killed in the tsunami just 20 minutes ago. That was over 30 minutes in actual fact, because the tweet was sent out 14 minutes ago. Another one is from Jenny Lupin in Tokyo, starting abroad from Wisconsin. We're still getting aftershocks, can't contact some friends though, so very worried. So I'm getting a lot of comments, a lot of people actually wanting to make contact with relatives. So you can sort of see as this unfolds how desperate a lot of people on the ground are who actually want to make contact with loved ones and with friends. So just want to make that point too. A magnitude 8.9 quake, a major, great earthquake is what it's classified as. Kyung-la, just going back to you, just looking at the situation there, because of course the big problem of these waves, the tsunamis that are coming in, and we saw the wave of mud and debris very tragically moving across the land there, but glad to say it was mostly farmland.
Yeah, and actually, as you were talking, Rosemary, about those tweets, we were experiencing another aftershock. The ground was moving as I was listening to you anchoring there. So to say that this is over is certainly not the case. Here in Tokyo,